Greetings, football fans. Welcome back to the channel, where we bring you all the latest news and updates straight from the gridiron. In today's video, we've got some major updates to discuss, and believe me, you won't want to miss this one. Before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you stay up to date with all the exciting developments that are sure to unfold. Now, let's jump into the topic that's been buzzing around the league recently, a potential trade involving one of the quarterbacks. Over the weekend, whispers of a possible trade involving a young quarterback started to pick up steam. As always, when we're talking about quarterbacks, it grabs attention. It's the most important position on the field, and any news about a potential shift in that area can completely change the dynamic of a team. The player in question has been under the radar for some time, but now it seems like his name is popping up in trade rumors, and we need to dive into why that is, what could be going on, and why this trade could actually make sense for the team involved. For context, we're talking about a quarterback who has shown flashes of talent, but has also had his fair share of struggles. He was drafted in the 4th round, which already tells you something about the expectations that were placed on him. Being selected in the 4th round isn't exactly the same as being a top pick, but it does show that the team saw potential in him. Over the last 2 years, he's seen some action, starting 17 games and playing in a total of 20 games, which is no small feat, but now, with the team in the midst of a rebuild and facing some new challenges, the question becomes, should they stick with him, or should they make a move and bring in someone new? The reason why this trade talk is picking up pace is tied to a number of factors. First, let's talk about the financial side of things. The quarterback's current contract carries a very manageable cap hit, only about $1.2 million. When you think about how little that is, especially considering how much some quarterbacks make, it's not a huge burden on the team. In fact, if the team does end up making a trade during the upcoming draft, they could save a significant amount of money. So, from a financial perspective, moving this quarterback would make sense. It's not like they're offloading a high-priced veteran. But, of course, money isn't the only thing that matters in a trade, and the real question is what the team could get in return. Now, let's look at the value of this player. He's not a superstar by any means, but he has potential. There's a chance that the team could sell him at a high point, and if that happens, it could be a win for both sides. He's been through some adversity, playing under different coaching staffs and systems. This has been a factor in his development, and it could affect how much the team can get for him. But the truth is, if the team decides to trade him, they may be selling at a good time. With the draft coming up, teams are always looking for quarterbacks, especially those who have shown they can handle the pressures of the NFL, even if they haven't been perfect. There's also the potential that this quarterback's value could drop if he doesn't get any playing time next season. A lot of people are hoping he'll stay on the field, but if he doesn't, his market value might take a hit. After all, his contract has a limited amount of time left on it, and the team has to make a decision soon. Do they let him play another season and hope his stock rises, or do they move him now while he still has some trade value? It's not just about the player, though. The whole situation is part of a bigger picture. We're talking about a franchise that's in the middle of a major overhaul. New ownership, new coaching staff, new direction. Everything is in flux. The quarterback in question was drafted by a different regime, which always adds an extra layer of complexity to the situation. Coaches and front office staff tend to want their own players, and when a new regime comes in, the previous management's draft picks often get a second look. This player, despite his potential, was picked by a group that's no longer running the show. Could that be a factor in the decision to trade him? It's definitely something to keep in mind. But, of course, there are also reasons the team might want to keep him. We have to consider the fact that quarterbacks are in high demand, and keeping someone who has shown potential could be valuable in the long run. Even if he doesn't start next season, having a competent backup quarterback is never a bad thing, especially in a league where injuries happen all too often. So, if the team decides to hold on to him and let him compete for the starting job, it's not the worst scenario. Now, let's look at the bigger picture from a team-building perspective. It's no secret that quarterback is the most important position on the field, and a good quarterback can completely change the trajectory of a team. But the reality is, not every team needs a starting quarterback right now. If the team is planning on drafting someone this year, they might want to bring in a younger guy to learn behind a more experienced player. This could help them develop a future star without rushing him into the starting role. If the team thinks this quarterback isn't the long-term answer, it might be time to let him go and bring in someone who could eventually take over the starting job. It's clear that the team is doing its homework. They've been meeting with a number of quarterbacks leading up to the draft, which shows they're serious about adding depth to the position. They're looking at a range of quarterbacks and could end up selecting one in the first or second round. That's where the real competition is going to come in. If they do bring in a rookie quarterback, he'll likely compete with the current quarterback for the starting spot. And let's be honest, the pressure is on for this player. If he doesn't perform well in training camp and during the preseason, he could find himself on the bench or worse, traded. So, what does this mean for the future of the quarterback in question? Well, it's all going to come down to how he performs this season and how the team feels about him moving forward. If he plays well and proves that he's capable of leading the team, they might decide to keep him. But if they think he's not the future, they'll likely pull the trigger on a trade. Either way, it's going to be an interesting few months ahead, and we'll be watching closely to see what happens. There's also the fact that teams will be watching closely, too. If the team decides to move this quarterback, there are a lot of potential suitors out there. Teams that need a backup, teams that are rebuilding. All of them will be watching to see if this player becomes available. It's all part of the chess game that is the NFL offseason. But in the end, the most important thing for the team is to make the right call. Whether they trade him or keep him, they need to ensure they're making the move that sets them up for future success. As we continue to analyze the quarterback situation, it's clear that the decisions made in the upcoming months will have significant ramifications for the franchise's future. The focus on quarterbacks during this draft cycle isn't just a coincidence. The franchise is actively looking at potential quarterbacks to add to their roster, and this could lead to some very interesting scenarios as we approach the NFL draft. What stands out is the sheer volume of visits scheduled for quarterbacks. The team has shown a keen interest in evaluating a wide range of quarterbacks, which speaks volumes about their intentions. Now, we've already discussed that there's a chance the team might draft a quarterback, perhaps even in the first or second round. But what does this really mean for the current quarterback in question? Well, the reality is that anytime a team brings in a new player, especially at such a critical position, there's going to be a level of competition. This is exactly what we might see unfolding during training camp and preseason. If the team selects a quarterback who is highly regarded, the pressure on the current quarterback to perform will only increase. But it's important to remember that the decision to draft a new quarterback doesn't automatically spell the end of the line for the current player. In fact, there's still a chance he could compete for the starting spot, especially if he proves that he's capable of leading the team. However, that competition isn't just going to be a matter of performance. It's also going to depend on the team's long-term vision. If the team selects a quarterback in this draft, the most likely scenario is that they're looking for someone who can develop into the starter over the next few years. It's unlikely that any rookie quarterback, regardless of talent, will come in and start right away unless there's a catastrophic injury or a drastic change in circumstances. So, if the team drafts a young quarterback and decides to keep the current quarterback around, they'll likely have a situation where both players are competing for the job. The current quarterback could end up being the mentor, the bridge between the rookie and the starting job, which could ultimately benefit both sides. But let's not forget that there's another possibility, that the team decides to go in a different direction entirely. Perhaps the team decides that the quarterback in question isn't part of their future plans and looks to trade him. This could happen during the draft if the right offer comes along. A trade could be particularly appealing if the team believes they can acquire a solid draft pick in return, or if they believe the current quarterback's value is higher now than it will be in the future. A trade would allow the team to address other needs, secure additional assets, and set themselves up for the future. But even with that in mind, it's important to understand that this quarterback isn't someone who's easily replaceable. The value of this player cannot be underestimated. He has experience in the league, and while he's not a superstar, he's certainly shown enough potential to be considered a valuable asset. There's no denying that teams across the league will be watching this situation closely. If the team decides to trade him, there will be suitors. Teams in need of a backup quarterback, or those looking to add depth to the position, could jump at the chance to acquire him. In fact, there may be more interest than many realize, especially if the quarterback can step in and perform at a high level if needed. In the NFL, having a reliable backup quarterback is crucial, and this player has proven he can do just that. Yet, even with all the trade talk swirling around, it's still possible that the team decides to keep the quarterback. After all, there's something to be said for having a veteran presence in the locker room. With a young quarterback possibly entering the fold, having a seasoned player who can guide him, share insights, and provide support in tough situations could be invaluable. It's not always about who's the most talented. It's also about who can contribute in other ways. The current quarterback, despite not being the starter, could play a vital role in the development of the team's future quarterback. And let's not overlook the leadership aspect. Football is a team game, and sometimes the most valuable players are those who know how to motivate their teammates, keep everyone focused, and set the tone for the entire squad. Even if the current quarterback isn't the long-term answer, his ability to lead and mentor the younger players on the roster can make a huge difference. The team could ultimately decide that he's a crucial part of their locker room culture, and that alone could justify keeping him around for the time being. Now, we've talked about the possibility of the team trading or keeping the quarterback, but there's one other scenario to consider: the possibility that this quarterback gets more playing time in the upcoming season. There's no question that if the starting quarterback suffers an injury, the backup will need to step in and perform. In that case, the current quarterback in question could find himself in a position to prove his worth to the coaching staff. If he plays well, even in a limited role, it could increase his value on the market, whether for trade purposes or simply as a valuable asset for the team. If the team's primary quarterback does get injured, and the current player steps in and performs admirably, it could lead to an unexpected twist in the team's plans. Suddenly, the conversation about whether or not to trade him might shift to whether or not they can afford to part ways with him. At the same time, if the quarterback doesn't perform well or doesn't show enough promise, the team might be forced to reevaluate its options. That's the nature of the NFL. There's always a sense of uncertainty, and teams have to be ready to adapt to whatever comes their way. No one knows for sure what the future holds, but that's what makes the upcoming season so interesting. Whether the quarterback stays or goes, there are plenty of opportunities for him to make an impact, and his performance in the coming months could determine his fate. One thing is for sure: the NFL draft is going to be a defining moment in this quarterback's career. Whether he stays with the team, gets traded, or even competes for the starting job, his future will be influenced by the decisions made over the next few months. As fans, we'll all be watching closely, waiting to see what happens. The excitement is building, and we can't wait to bring you all the latest updates. Keep tuning in for more information as the draft approaches, and remember, no matter what happens, the future of this quarterback, and the team as a whole, is still very much up in the air. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Las Vegas Raiders. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Tyreek Hill is one of the most electrifying talents in the NFL, but could the star wide receiver soon be leaving the Miami Dolphins to don the silver and black of the Las Vegas Raiders? Rumors have been swirling about a potential blockbuster trade that could shake up the entire league, and fans are buzzing with anticipation. While details are scarce, the mere idea of Hill joining the Raiders has sent shockwaves through the football world, and insiders are suggesting this could be more than just a rumor. Hill's speed, elite playmaking ability, and experience as one of the league's top receivers are no secret. With a career filled with Pro Bowl appearances, Super Bowl victories, and records that place him among the NFL's elite, Hill has earned his reputation as one of the most dangerous weapons in the game. Last season alone, Hill finished with an astounding 1,799 receiving yards, leading the NFL in that category, and reaffirmed his spot as one of the best in the business. But a turbulent 2024 season with the Dolphins, including frustrations with the team's performance, may have set the stage for a fresh start. Enter the Las Vegas Raiders. The team has been making strides in recent years, but still finds itself lacking that true, game-changing playmaker who can take their offense to the next level. With Derek Carr gone and a new offensive philosophy beginning to take shape, the Raiders are rumored to be in the market for a top-tier receiver. Could Hill be the missing piece? His explosive style of play would mesh perfectly with the Raiders' need for a dynamic and versatile weapon on offense. The timing couldn't be more intriguing. The Raiders are coming off a mixed season, but are actively retooling, with a promising young quarterback and a revamped roster. Pairing Hill with a strong, young QB could propel the Raiders back into playoff contention. The combination of Hill's speed and the Raiders' need for an elite weapon on the outside makes this potential partnership one to watch. But of course, there are a few hurdles: financial constraints, team chemistry, and Hill's complicated relationship with the Dolphins after their disappointing season. As the days go by, more rumors are bound to surface, but one thing remains clear: a Tyreek Hill trade to the Raiders would change the landscape of the AFC. Fans are eagerly waiting for official confirmation, and the football world is watching closely. Will this be the blockbuster move of the offseason, or is it just another piece of hot air? Stay tuned as this exciting story unfolds. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Las Vegas Raiders, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.